How often have you heard Filipinos tell you the reason the country is behind is due to poverty? In this episode, we will dive deeper into this. Brewer on Reddit says, yes, the Philippines is a developing nation, and it's not fair to hold it to the same standards as first world countries. I get that. But at what point do we just call a spade a spade? The propaganda article about Naya really got to me. It got me thinking. Naya isn't an airport. It's a joke. An unfunny, poorly timed, and terribly placed joke. Yes, money is a factor when it comes to any civil engineering project, but it doesn't mean you can't make sacrifices to get done what needs to be done. The international airport is the gateway to your country. It's the first thing that tourists and investors see when they arrive. In the case of the Philippines, they see a monstrosity that shows its age, long lines, nowhere to sit. Oh, and God help you if you need to transfer terminals. They keep flapping their gums about improving it, but nothing gets done. They actually stiffed the German company that hired to build Terminal 3. Of course, someone's going to say that the Philippines is a poor country, and how dare I, as an arrogant American, judge them. But I'd like to take a look at Siem Reap's airport. It's in a poorer country than the Philippines, yet Cambodia managed to build a beautiful gateway for tourists. He then shows you a couple photos from Siem Reap's airports. Well, Staffa responds by saying, poverty is not the reason for the condition of Naya. Corruption is. The government has plenty of money. It's just a matter of that money flowing to these projects instead of lining politicians' pockets. Excellently put. That is the main reason why so many things in the Philippines do not work. It is not that there's no money in the country. It is that the politicians and those in power simply line up their pockets and there's no accountability because Filipinos are used to living in those standards. They do not care. They will do just fine with the bare minimum. So, let's say $100 million is allocated to a terminal or an upgrade. No one is there to audit that. No one is there to check to see how the money was spent. They will simply build small improvements or just make small differences, perhaps 1 to 2 million, and just pocket the rest. It will get divided between the politicians, those in power, those that got the contract. It simply vanishes into thin air, and it will take years before anyone even asks a question. And by the time they do, it's gone and spent a long time ago with no one having a trace of how the money was spent. Johnny Boy 11 says, Marco stole like, what, 5 to 10 billion dollars? That's quite a huge sum of wealth that could have been invested in society, could have built an extra airport and a rail system with billions to spare. If those investments were compounded, I don't think people realize how much they're missed out due to corruption. That's a whole different topic. The Marcos family stole billions, yet they re-elected his son. That tells you everything you need to know about the education level of the local Filipino people. Pablo on 35 says, Philippines is not poor. I just spent a few weeks in Dasmariñas and the wealth is staggering. And that is just one area. There and how those people spend their wealth in town. I did some calculations and now I'm sure Philippines is actually quite rich as a whole, but totally unequal. The airport is just a single component. The maximum amount of money is diverted to make the minimum acceptable standard. Same with build, build, build. We estimated that about 50% is diverted and the resulting substandard quality needs again money to correct, where again 50% is diverted. A vicious circle. That is what built those mansions. That is what keeps the poor the poor. But why get upset? The government was democratically elected, so apparently this is what the people want. I cannot change anything. So the mantra is to be happy with what you got and avoid what you do not like. That is the Filipino mentality. They can see disparities. They can see corruption. yet they continue and continue to re-elect celebrities or politicians with no experience or even any track record of making any improvements. Sure, the Philippines is not the only country doing this. However, it has a huge part in what is going on in this country, and you and I living here cannot simply just ignore it without voicing any concern. For those that say we are simply guests and go back if we don't like it, that is also not true. Guests do not have to pay for their stay or accommodation or food. Everything we do is for the benefit of the Pinoy people. We actually generate income for them. We actually generate businesses, and we are the reason why some of these businesses stay afloat. Do not forget that. Lucky girl, angel. LOL, trust me. This reflects the sentiments of every Filipino. We are all tired of the corruption. The Philippines is not a poor country. Blame the government and the corruption. Okay, true. I even blamed them at the beginning. Yes, this is all factual. But what are the people going to do about it? What are the citizens with some voting power and the right to do something will do anything about this? What will they do? Nothing. Sit back, drink Red Horse, and hope that God saves them. Yes, faith is important, but you cannot let faith decide your life. God gave you a brain, a reason to think, and actions that you need to take. He gives you the signs, but you have to do the actions. That is why you have free will. Imaginary partnership says, I've explained this to my wife several times. She knows about the Philippines' corruption and government, but goes deeper. The wealthy Filipinos get richer and the poor get poorer. Why? Because the big builders, the shakers, and the movers keep foreign companies from doing business in the Philippines when possible. Call it protectionism or whatever. But keeping the majority of building businesses in the hands of the rich Filipinos hurts the country and the people. I use this example often, but it goes deeper. An Australian company tried to start a salt company in the Philippines sometime between 2007 and 2010. They had a 10-year projection of spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build out and provide an alternative to entrenched salt providers of the Philippines. Globe, Smart, and it seems like there was another Philippine salt company that did everything in their power to stop the competition from starting in the Philippines, and they were successful. I know the Philippines uses foreign contractors only when necessary. This is only to keep the rich Filipinos rich, hurt the country and people. Additionally, when a foreign company wants to do business in the Philippines, they know they must pay some rich Filipino businessman or woman to do their building. Then comes the government payouts, and eventually it gets too expensive. Foreign businesses would bring competition to the Philippines and bring some costs down and wages up. Protectionism prevents open competition in the Philippines. This is a great take from a business perspective. It is also true. You can tell this whenever you order something from back in the US to come to the Philippines. How high and expensive are the custom fees? You often get a letter or a phone call from some random person saying you have to pay some kind of fee to release something. Oftentimes the fee itself is half or more the price of the item coming in. It does not make any sense. Now apply that to anything in the Philippines that has to do with foreign investors or foreign products. Everyone gets paid out. Everyone gets a tip or a portion of what they think they deserve. This is why this country is falling behind. An airline pilot, Cascade Flyer, says, as an airline pilot who flies into Manila regularly, I will also say it's unacceptable that the runway is ungrooved. Grooving a runway reduces standing water, and it's pretty much standard worldwide, especially if the runway is in a rainy area. You can feel the anti-skid working on a rainy day in Manila. Really just unbelievable. Somebody cut a corner. Elmer says that's very normal in the Philippines. That's pretty much how they all do things. Makes you wonder if they have any pride in doing a good job. Yet they are full of false pride that won't allow them to admit their wrongs. I think this is a lot of Filipinos lack care for the community at large. That is the biggest problem I feel. It's the attitude, the mindset, the mentality of the local Pinoy. They have too much pride and zero effort. They don't care. The majority, of course, you have a few that do, but those are the ones that go abroad to look for a better life because even they know that there's no hope in this country. Now, our catfish of the day. How do you go from this to this? Remember, the catfish is not telling you how beautiful the one photo is. It's about the big difference between the photos, what they show you, and what they really look like these days. Oftentimes, 10 or 15, even 20 years difference between the photos. Yesterday's video was regarding separation versus annulment. The best comment is from Slydog. Simps seem to be in great abundance. These types of stories seem so common. I don't get it, but this channel brings good awareness. Thanks for watching. God bless.